In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Fellow countrymen and women, these are our ministers and permanent secretaries at the front bench, representing the various ministries and answering the questions that matter to us. Join the conversation. This is the front bench.
Well, the questions matter most. Yes, of course they do. And if you want to be part of the conversation and asking the questions that matter most, you will see the number on your screen. Now, I do have a document with me here. I would just like to take you through a little bit of the national ethical values of Uganda. One is respect for humanity and environment. There is honesty, uphold and defend the truth at all times. Justice and fairness in dealing with others. I don't know how many of you are doing that. There is hard work for self-reliance, integrity, moral uprightness and sound character, which by the look of things many of the Ugandans are lacking lately. Creativeness and innovativeness as 6. Social responsibility as 7. There is social harmony, national unity, and then there is national consciousness and patriotism. Now, patriotism is surely one love for the country, and we are getting into this conversation. Then, as we're getting into the conversation, I'll start with the permanent secretary to the ministry, that is Mr. Dunstan Balaba, who is going to be giving us a little bit of the strategic objectives that the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity has, and how best they are using these particular objectives to address the issues of ethics in the country. Again, good evening, sir. I wonder, though, I'll start with you. Which of these objectives are more crucial when it comes to strengthening ethical conduct and anti-corruption efforts in the country?
Well, thank you, moderator. Thank you, viewers. As introduced, I'm Dunstan Balaba, the permanent secretary, Directorate for Ethics and Integrity, Office of the President. Today was my 3rd day in the office of permanent secretary. I took over this role last week on Tuesday, and today was basically my 3rd day. But before we can be able to look at these strategic objectives, because these are derived from our mandate, from our mission, from our vision. Our mandate is basically to build ethics and integrity and coordinate the national efforts in the fight against corruption and its consequences. That is the mandate of the Directorate. And of course, our mission is to empower the Ugandan society to uphold the moral values. The moral values and the principles in the fight against corruption. Like the moderator you put it, the ethical values are very critical. And we need every Ugandan to be able to know these ethical values. Because these ethical values emanate from our culture, from the culture of Ugandans. And therefore, if we are going to ensure that every Ugandan gets the service he or she deserves, these values are very, very critical. And then, of course, we have 5 objectives But these are anchored in two of the issues that we are talking about. Rebuilding ethics and integrity, and then also coordinating the national efforts. That is where all of these values are anchored and the strategic objectives that we deal with. So the three basically that we look at as very, very important as a directorate is the issue of the production of ethical conduct. Because really without ethical conduct in what we do, then it means we are doomed. So this is very, very important because it is the pillar for the rebuilding of the ethics and integrity in our society. And then to strengthening the efforts, the anti-corruption agencies, the efforts of all of these agencies, and ensuring that the laws are actually implemented. We have got a number of laws. Later on, we shall be talking about some of these laws. But they are agencies that have been put up by government to be able to ensure that they can be able to implement and put into force the laws. So the directorate ensures that these anti-corruption agencies are coordinated and strengthened to be able to ensure that things are moving on well. And then, of course, the third one is creating public awareness. It is very, very important that the public knows what exactly these ethical values are about, what are these moral values are about, because that is the only way for them to be able to, and as we shall be telling you later, because of this public awareness, that's now why in many cases can be able to come out and people can be able to report, because the directorate and all the other anti-corruption agencies have been able to carry out this public awareness through media, print and electronic, through newspapers, through a number of meetings that have been held by not only the directorate but also the other anti-corruption agencies.
Okay. And away from that, Mr. Makumbi, I do know for a fact that the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity does collaborate or work along with other agencies within the government settings, especially anti-corruption agencies. If you can elaborate and tell us more of how these efforts have gone, especially when it comes to the partnerships you've had with these agencies, and then also, if at all there have been challenges, what are those, if you can share with the viewers?
Thank you very much. We work under the Directorate for Ethics and Integrity, works with other anti-corruption agencies in government. Actually, at the moment, we have 22 state agencies which the Directorate coordinates, and we work under what we call the Interagency Forum. In full, it's called the Anti-Corruption Interagency Forum. And the chairperson of that forum is the Minister of State for Ethics and Integrity in the Office of the President. And the secretary is the permanent secretary of the Directorate for Ethics and Integrity. It has representation of all government corruption agencies, right from the Inspectorate of Government, Office of the Auditor General, we have State House Anti-Corruption, the Financial Intelligence Authority. All those come under the Interagency Forum. And they hold meetings, strategic meetings, at least once in a quarter. There could be more, depending on the issues that are at stake. And they share information on those hard issues, sensitive issues that they have to handle without duplication in efforts. And at the same time, we also work together to do inspections. The Interagency Forum, under the direction of the Honorable Minister of State, they do inspections in districts. We get reports from districts of corruption tendencies, bottlenecks in service delivery, and then the Honorable Minister leads the team of the Interagency Forum to go and verify and handle immediately those cases that we find in the districts. It has been very, very fruitful, and it has brought out the bottlenecks we had, like especially the PDM. There are some people, there were charges which were hindering people to get the full 1 million amount. There are very unscrupulous fellows who are getting money from these villagers. All these things came out so clearly in the inspections we've had. Of course, we would like to be in all the areas of the country, but given the budget we have, our operations are curtailed in that way. Okay. But the biggest challenge is that the budget we are operating under, the Directorate for Ethics, is small, and we fund that entire activity as the Directorate. Okay. So that's what it is.
And he just mentioned something very critical here about the budget cuts. Now, the 2024-2025 budget that we are currently under is one that saw quite a number of government agencies, inclusive of which ministries, have budget cuts. Now, on top of it, when you look at the figures from the budget cuts on the side of the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, from 23 billion Ugandan shillings to 10 billion in the current financial year, one may wonder, how does the Directorate plan to work through these budget cuts? And I want the PS to handle this one. If you're to look at this is it's more like half of the budget was cut off. And one may wonder, how are you managing, and how do you plan to manage these cuts in order to effectively serve the nation?
Yeah, that is true. Just like the other MDAs, these budget cuts come and they affect the operations. So the Directorate for Ethics and Integrity, in the 21-22 financial year, we had the 23 billion shillings, but in this current budget, we are operating on 10.18 billion shillings. Basically, when you look at a country with over 50 MDAs and 176 local governments, for the Directorate to be able to move, to do the sensitization, to carry out the inspections, awareness creation, and also funding, because in every district local government, we have what we call a District Integrity Promotion Forum, which basically would be receiving funding from us to enable it to undertake its functions. We can't do it. So it affects our visibility, and the likelihood of not being ferret could be there because we cannot be everywhere. But what have we done? We have decided to work closely with the partners we work with. We do work with them, the civil society organizations, and all of these other religious religious organizations. We work with them, but we also do a lot of coordination. Like the commissioner told you, we have the Interagency Forum, which has about 22 agencies. Those ones have got their own budgets. So what the Directorate does is to coordinate with all of these agencies so that they can now be able to perform their duties effectively, but with the coordination from the Directorate. And it is at this juncture that we want to bring apologies from the Minister of State for Ethics and Integrity. She's supposed to have been here, Honorable Lily Rose Akero. She's supposed to have been here, but she's indisposed. And that's why me, the Permanent Secretary, and the Commissioner for Ethics, Policy and Standards, we are the ones representing. Okay. So the budget cuts really affect, but we're also going to get in touch with the Minister of Finance, because now the period that we are going in, issues of ethics and integrity are very, very critical. And we shall be able to request the Minister of Finance to add us something so that we can be effective in our operations.
All right, and Mr. Makumbi, I want to ask you something about the religious and faith organizations policy here. When you look at how it has been involving significant consultation over the years, and then with various stakeholders, obviously within the religious realm, from different, backgrounds of the religious denominations that we do have. If you could share more about these contentious issues that have delayed its completion, so that the viewer can get right into the context of our conversation.
Thank you very much. First of all, this has been a long journey that is coming to a conclusion. There have been very wide consultations, and the Director for Religious Affairs, Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesiji, has done a very commendable job with the Department for Religious Affairs. But of course, in any situation when you are bringing in something new, you can't fail to have dissenting voices. But in the beginning and up to a little late in the stage of finishing the policy, some religious organizations, especially our brothers in the born-again faith, felt that the policy was targeting them, which was wrongly perceived, because this is a general policy which wants to bring orderliness. I'm not saying that to bring them together as a team, and they follow the same laws, they follow the same, and they work as a team so that they improve relationship with government. So they felt, and some of them were given wrong information, that the policy was targeting, taxing the offertory. That was not the reason. I mean, it's not even anywhere. If you care to read the policy, it doesn't feature anywhere. Some even, but again, there are some merits within the policy, because in as much as we respect that spiritual matters, God can come and instruct you in the night, in your vision, you get the visions while you are sleeping, or however you get it, but at least there has to be some basic training. Somebody has to know how to handle the public, how to handle situations, in as much as you have that spiritual endowment. The policy brings it out that it would be good if within themselves they have training institutions to bring up the leaders within their organizations. But apart from that, we are taking we take time to explain and interact with the dissenting voices. And the good thing is that in our interactions, they are seeing that the policy is good for them. It's a religious policy. And whatever is going to be done is going to be done by them. The government is assisting to put everything in order and have a direction where we can move for the good of everyone.
Okay. And you, Adivio, you can be part of this conversation by sharing your concerns and be part of this engagement. And in the conversations that we are having, really, you can ask anything that is in the line of ethics and integrity in this country, meaning issues to do with corruption, issues to do with how Ugandans handle themselves. You can also ask something to do with the issues to do with pornography, by the way, because when you look at the statutory entities under the Directorate of Integrity and Ethics, one is the Pornography Control Committee, established under the Anti-Pornography Act 2014 to detect and curb pornography in the country. We shall be later on looking at how far the Directorate has gone in order to put an end to the same, especially content relating around pornography and what have you. Then among the other statutory entities under the DEI, or the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, is the Leadership Court Tribunal, which was established under the Leadership Code Amendment Act 2017 to adjudicate cases of breach of the leadership conduct referred to by the Inspectorate of Government. Now, let me head to the Permanent Secretary before we do break off for the interview, rather for the commercials. PS, when you look at the capacity building efforts that have been targeting the integrity focal persons and local government officials, one may wonder what kind of feedback has the Directorate received regarding the effectiveness of these trainings, especially in preventing corruption in the public service?
We have in every MDA established one focal person called the Integrity Focal Person.
Okay.
Currently, we have 52 of them. Then in the local governments, we have the District Integrity Promotion Forum. And the chairperson of this forum is the resident district commissioner, and the chief administrative officer is the secretary. To facilitate their work, especially those in the MDAs, the integrity focal persons, we have undertaken trainings. We have undertaken trainings. So far, 7 trainings have been undertaken in batches. And what we are getting out now is that they are trying to do their best to liaise with their officers in the department and talk about issues of integrity and ethics. Originally, that was like a no-go zone for somebody to talk about integrity. And we can authoritatively say that some of our officers who have been our integrity focal persons, because of the role they have been undertaking in the MDAs they have been, where they have been, some of them have been identified and have been placed at higher positions. I want to give an example of the current ED of KCCA was our integrity focal person in the Ministry of Public Service before she went to Ministry of Local Government, and now she's the ED of KCCA. Even the current deputy ED, Benon Chigenyi, was our integrity focal person in the Ministry of Local Government before he went to the Ministry of East African Community Affairs. So you can see that they are using the training that has been given to them to be able to instill integrity and ethical conduct in many of these MDAs. But of course, yes, as it goes on, there are a number of challenges. Currently, we are trying to put up a mechanism of following them up to see whether what was trained is what they are doing, because they are supposed to train the others. Then we are also having a training manual that we are developing that they can be able to use. But one of the challenges that, as part of the feedback we are getting, is that for them to perform their duties very effectively and efficiently, they need the support of the senior management of the MDAs, the permanent secretaries or EDs of those entities, plus other senior managers in those ministries. They need the support to be able to work, because yes, you can undertake an activity of instilling integrity, but you need your boss to support you. Okay. So that will of the senior management is very, very important.
And to you, our dear viewer, when we do return after the break, we are going to be having more of a look at the questions that you've sent. I'm seeing comments coming through on WhatsApp, but we're also streaming live on YouTube, by the way. You can send your concerns there as well. We shall be giving them forward to our 2 guests this evening as we get to understand more of how the Directorate of Integrity or Ethics and Integrity is shaping up the nation so that it is accountable, it is honest, and also putting forward integrity in everything they do, especially those in the public service. But you, our dear viewer, good evening.
This is the Front Bench. In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
This is the Front Bench.
Well, indeed, it is the front bench, and thank you very much for sticking around and watching your national broadcaster. I'll go direct into some of the questions that we do have so far on our WhatsApp number 0709602592. From all the viewers that are participating, we thank you very much because we do this for you as well. Now, I do have a comment coming in saying, thanks for teaching and sensitizing the nation at large. May you keep the enrollment ambiguous. Thank you. I didn't get the last word. And then we do have, this is Namono Bena from Bududa. She says that it's her first time to hear about the District Integrity Committee. I think she now opens room for more sensitization, I should say. Then I have Nwagira Richard from Mutungo, who says, I want to let the government know the president and the people who are honest as well. Surely, whenever government comes up with something that can help Ugandan gain finances, some of those who sit in the offices don't practice honestly. They are corrupt. Some of them are worthless. He says he shares, they asked my uncle for 50,000 to get him 1 million, but they didn't give it to him till the debt. So I think you mentioned something, you've mentioned so many things, but I want to believe you're talking about the corruption in government entities. That's my thought. But besides that, I do have someone saying, moderator, my name is Okodel. Please ask the commissioner. Recently, I saw a team from Bank of Uganda accusing computer systems on the loss of colossal amounts of taxpayers' money, about 60 billion. Is there any policy that trains and prosecutes such corrupt computer systems in Uganda, since no individual has been apprehended in that particular case? Thank you very much, Okodel, for that comment. And I do have someone say, thanks for the presentation. My name is Daniel Okwang from Karenga District. I just wanted to thank and wish the PS and Commissioner a good start at their various positions. May God be on your side. Thank you very much for the comment. Then Patrick from Nakawa is saying it's astonishing to learn that we have ministries in place to help us fight corruption, but however, many of the people in public offices are not doing the necessary. As a citizen, I expect to see tangible efforts to promote ethics and integrity in our society. Transparency and accountability are key to building trust in institutions. And he mentions, for example, there is gross misconduct in most public offices. And I remember during Parliament exhibition where the ministries mentioned all the accusations and the people were never apprehended. Thank you for your comment. Now, away from that, I think we're going to be taking on those comments a little bit before we get into the others. So I want to start with Commissioner. Someone mentioned something to do with the haste in the Bank of Uganda, and he asked whether there is a way where we can hold the computer systems accountable.
Yeah, I think it was Mr. Okodel.
Yes.
Yeah. I thank Mr. Okodel for his concern. Well, if you care to find out, there are government institutions mandated with investigations. The CID, we have police, and I remember along some 2 or so months back, Bank of Uganda carried out its own investigation on the matter. Even the Ministry of Finance carried out its own investigations on the matter. So government is pretty much concerned about that, and there are tangible efforts in that direction.
Okay. And this Honorable Avad Tayebwa here in Ruchiga says, Kumbe, we still have people responsible for ethics and integrity. And he asks, we still have artists who are sharing nudes every day. People walk naked on streets. What is your comment on this? Because it is a shame that our society is ending into this. Mention something like that. Commissioner, I want you to talk about
thank you very much. It's a really good concern, and it's one we are taking with very, very serious concern. We have what we call the Anti-Pornography Act 2014. The Anti-Pornography Act actually criminates the pornography, child pornography, one, and sharing unsolicited nude pictures is also criminal, which can earn you up to 5 years. But still, we don't work alone. We work with police. The Directorate for Ethics and Integrity works with Uganda Police to enforce some of these laws. And better still, we work with artists' organizations. The Uganda National Culture Center, we work with it. We work with the Uganda Communications Commission. And actually, of late, the turbulence that was in the artists' area, we were working with the supreme leaders of the artists. And we had a really big meeting where all these artists were. And even the Uganda Communications Commission came in and showed them the laws that bar indecent dressing while performing. And actually, if you're going to do a performance, you need to get a license from UCC. So all these we are working together, and what I promised them is that now we are going to work on a code of conduct for ethics for the artists. That falls within our powers. We are going to get them a code of conduct which they must respect themselves. We have to work with them. We don't bring it and impose it on them, no. We get them together, consult them, and come up with a code that can guide their behavior while performing in Ugandan society.
Well, I think you've got your response to the question that you had, sir. Now, P.S. Noagira Richard from Mutumu had mentioned earlier something to do with the public service. He says that his father, his uncle rather, was asked for 50,000 Ugandan shillings to get 1 million. I don't know what for, but he did not receive the money. And he mentioned something to do with how these people in offices are swindling money and privatizing the public sector. What would be your comment on that, and how do we put an end to corruption? Because now the directorate is fully responsible for this.
Yes, when His Excellency the President has been moving around the country in his quest to talk about PDM and appeal to people to work and get out of poverty, this program of PDM was introduced, and he has been receiving feedback from the Wananchi that they are being charged. They are being charged different amounts of money depending on which area. 50,000, 20,000, the others, you are supposed to get 1 million, but you are given 800,000, and somebody will tell you that this is to facilitate the process. I think one or two issues that are critical are the following. One is that you, as the beneficiary, you need to know your right, and you need to know what belongs to you. And this is what we want everybody to know, and that's what the president has been moving around and telling Ugandans. If it is 1 million shillings, it is 1 million shillings. Not even the banks are supposed to reduce on that one. His Excellency the President said government can take care of issues of the bank. But those who are seated in offices, they earn a salary. I know they are not facilitated to do many other activities, But the local governments where they are supposed to provide for that, because PDM is not a project. PDM is a program, it is a strategy, and it is integrated in everything that we do. So nobody should be able to charge you. And like we have said, we as the Directorate for Ethics and Integrity, we don't work alone. We work with through even all of these other agencies. Where somebody has been able to take money from you, our guidance now is that this, please go and report this person to the various offices that are in the local government. There is the office of the RDC, there is the office of a DISO, there is the office of a DPC, there is in the region, there are even regional IGG offices. All of these offices are open to you. Nobody should be able to take money from you because 1 million must be 1 million.
Okay.
I also wanted to get to my sister from Obududa about the District Integrity Promotion Forum. They are there. The RDC, the chairperson, and the chief administrative officer is the secretary. That forum has the DPC, the OCCID, the DISO, and all our non-state anti-corruption agencies. Because in every region there are anti-corruption coalitions that are there. People, civil societies have come up with very many other organizations that are geared to fighting corruption. They are part of the Integrity Forum. So I want to appeal to the resident district commissioners. Yes, we have also learned they are there, but they are inactive. So we want to appeal to the RDCs and the chief administrative officer to revive this. We are going to have a program as a directorate so that we can be able to ensure, and next time when we come, we should be able to give you the details of how many are operational, how many are not. Those that are not operational, we are going to engage ourselves and our partners so that we can be able to revive them. They are very, very important because, by the way, even our civil society organizations that are in our local governments, you can be able to go and report. They can be able to take it.
There is a question that came in earlier when we had started, and this question was coming in from Samson Rugazanya. Now, Samson mentioned that how can organizations establish strong ethical codes to deter corruption in Uganda? And he brought this question to you, PS. How does the I think he's opening it wide now, because we have NGOs, we have private sector organizations. How can they, he asks?
We need to work as one, first of all. The state and the non-state actors. But for any organization to have a strong ethical culture, it is very important that the organization, first of all, the mandate is very clear. The staff are inducted into the culture of the organization, and that is why we have said that we need to constantly bring to the attention of Ugandans these 10 ethical values: honesty, patriotism, hard work, creativity, integrity. All of these must be known by everybody. And at the end of the day, the integrity focal persons should be able to help us in all of these organizations. Not only even government, but even the NGOs that we have, because some of them may also be acting unethically. So we need to, but what is important is basically to ensure that we work together to have a very good society of Uganda.
Well, away from the questions from the viewers, let me first get back into the in-house questions here. And Commissioner, when it comes to zero tolerance to corruption policy, how has this policy been received on the local government level? And then also, what role do the integrity focal persons play in promoting this zero tolerance to corruption policy?
Thank you very much. My PS has pretty much talked about the role of the integrity for focal persons.
Okay.
But the zero tolerance to corruption policy is the overarching policy that fights corruption in the country. It was signed by His Excellency the President. And actually, right from the beginning of the Bush War in 1986, I remember point number 7, was it point number 7? It was to fight corruption. The 10-point program, if you remember it. It was to fight corruption. That is the birthplace of the zero tolerance to corruption policy. The zero tolerance, it has been well received, especially in the local governments, and in actually we are looking at moving from the district integrity promotion forum. Funds allowing, we move to the sub-county integrity promotion forums, because all these are integrated within the policy. Now the policy is operationalized by the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. And that one, it is ending. It ended last year, and this year we are beginning the new cycle of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. It has been received very, very well with both the state and non-state actors. Actually, many of our partners, the non-state actors, are relying very much on the zero tolerance to corruption policy. They're relying on the National Anti-Corruption Strategy to see to it that their operations rhyme with the intentions and the broad goals of government in the fight against corruption.
And then also, the Directorate has been working with the religious organizations and religious and faith organizations to integrate ethical values into their practices. How far, have they gone? What is the feedback like?
The feedback is overwhelming. For example, towards the end of last year, we were in West Nile region. And actually, in that region, the religious fraternity, our Department of Religious Affairs interacted with the religious fraternity in West Nile for 2 days, and they agreed on how using their structures, because the religious organizations have structures from the top to the bottom. You are aware they are what they call Bubondo. Bubondo, I think they're 10 cell.
Yes.
Then you move up to,
with the
you get to the diocese,
yes.
then you get to the, so using that structure to provide, to mainstream the national ethical values is very, very pivotal in making sure that it reaches every corner of the country.
Okay.
So it has been received well, and we believe if they do what they agreed to do, it's going to be a wonderful result.
And P.S., let me turn my attention to you here. When you look at what the Directorate has been doing and actively doing over the years, is disseminating anti-corruption laws to various stakeholders, now inclusive of which the public itself. We wonder, though, how has the reception been, especially from the side of the public, to these laws? But then also, how do you ensure that they will be effectively implemented from the local level? Because the grassroots also seems to be disorganized in one way or the other.
Well, the public has been very, very receptive of these laws and policies.
Okay.
And every other time, the Directorate and all the other actors have gone to the public. They are very, very aware. And it is because of this that you can see now very many cases being reported. Because these cases are not being reported by people from offices. They are being reported by the public, because they are now aware. Any act that you do, somebody is following up. Of recent, we have seen many of our Ugandans reporting lifestyles of individuals. Because they see you, they know what you are, they may actually be knowing how much you earn, but they see you putting up many investments. So they have been reporting. And IGG has been starting on those ones, and when we declare our assets and liabilities, and then somebody reports, then the IGG comes to verify your assets. Then you have to provide a balance sheet of what you earn and what you have. Well, so it has been, the public has been very receptive of these laws.
Okay. Now, I do have a comment from Michael in Kwen. He says that there is a lot of corruption in Kwen local government. He even puts or adds, my God. He then says the tribalism in recruiting civil servants in the district is also at a higher level. PS, I want you to deal with that one, the issue of tribalism in employment. He says it is happening in Kwen. Now, Raymond Ngora says, thanks for the program. The issue to do with corruption in Ngora, it's too much for me. I was supposed to get PDM, but they told me to go back to the village. And up to now, I have not got anything. So I think he also mentions corruption here. And I like the fact that the viewers out there are engaging us and telling us directly from the side where they are. But this was that presenter and the team, Davis from Kisoro. Until we start seeing some change in the operation of some offices, it is hard to believe that many of the ministries are active or are in existence. We want the ministries to do more than the policies. Is there any platform of reporting such corruption cases of people in this district? Now, this one is one heading direct to the directorate. Is there any platform for reporting corruption cases? He asks. And then Nsamba David from Kabale says, how does the ministry enforce ethics and integrity and also ensure that corruption does not rot in government MDAs? I think the commissioner, you will deal with that particular one. So let us go with those ones. First, PS.
When Ngora Kisoro, high levels of corruption, when you are talking of corruption in recruitment, it is an issue that we are taking up very, very seriously. I have also seen we work closely with the Ministry of Local Government, and the Ministry of Local Government, the Permanent Secretary, the other ministers have been on this. They have even engaged those in charge of recruitment at local government level. And yes, it is something that we want to deal with as a very big issue in the country. The President has very, very particular, as mentioned, about recruitment in the local governments, the corruption that is there, recruitment of relatives, payment for recruitment. All the anti-corruption agencies are aware of this, and a strategy on this is being put in place. Okay. And when we are ready, you will see the results.
Okay.
As to where to report, my brother from Kisoro,
yes,
I have already mentioned that at the local government level, we have the office of the resident district commissioner. We have an office of the district security officer, internal security officer. But also in the region, I've mentioned that we have regional IGG offices. All of these you can report. But I've also said that we have our anti-corruption CSOs in place. They have also, many Ugandans have gone and reported. And they have dealt with them. Some of these cases, at one time I was working in Rwenzori, there is the Rwenzori Anti-Corruption Coalition, and it was handling, and up to now, it is still handling a number of corruption cases in the Rwenzori. So all of these are the avenues where you can be able to go and report. And as you report, you are protected. The Whistleblower Protection Act protects those who do the whistleblowing, those who can be able to bring. So please go to all of these agencies in confidence, and the matters will be handled. IGG has handled very many of these corruption cases that have been reported to them.
Okay. Yes. And Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you once again. Now, building the culture of integrity and fighting corruption in government, we don't do it in isolation. When a person enters government, in most cases, they undergo a 2-week training by the Public Service Ministry at the Civil Service College. So we get a product that is not raw into the system, but we go on perfecting it using the systems we have. We have the Code of Ethics and Conduct for the Public Service. It spells out everything that is expected of a civil servant, the performance, the reporting, the dressing, everything is within the code, and it guides all public servants very well. And then now lately we have the integrity focal persons. So we are moving steadily within government, and even local governments are part of government. So there we have the district integrity promotion forums, which are mirroring exact replica of the interagency forum at the center. So all those efforts are, we work hand in hand with our sister MDAs.
Okay.
But as we do this, I just want to add something. Yes, we can be able to build these ethical values in the public service. But I think as a society, we need to start at the family level. we need to start looking at ethical values, moral values from our families. Because the products that we are getting in the service, like the commissioner has put it, they are from our homes. So which products are these? So we want to look at the family as a very important unit. And the Constitution is very clear on the issue of the family. It has to be protected, it has to be guarded. But we need to ensure that we go back to our values, the family values. Because a family that builds values in its members, the outcome will also be very good for the public service.
All right, and I'll be taking the parting shots, but first I'm going to be kicking off with the Commissioner. Commissioner, in your parting shots, I wonder, there's something to do with the challenges that have been found in fighting corruption in Uganda, and there's a report that highlights that moral decay in our society has contributed highly to this. It's one of the drivers for bribes, corruption. In your parting shots, what do you think we need to do as a society, as the directorate, and the government in general, to work on the morals of Ugandans, so that at least everyone is accountable when it comes to honesty, ethics, and integrity in general?
Thank you. When you were looking at this, the whole spectrum, we don't move backward, but move forward. But we don't forget the past. Ssonko, you might be a little younger, but we had a culture in our different communities where unwritten laws were there. In Buganda, I can testify, when a woman gives you respect, she kneels down. They used to tell you, when you are walking, you don't eat. When you get rubbish, you don't throw it on the streets. These are unwritten laws. But now, why isn't it taking place? It's what the Permanent Secretary said. People are refusing to take up their responsibilities and want to throw everything to government. They don't want to have any responsibility on anything. They throw it to government and they want to blame it that way. But the thing is, we share responsibilities. These children are ours, and then when they come to government, don't think they'll behave differently if you as a parent, you have not cultured them in a manner that tells them that don't take what is not yours. We have to start from our own families. We have to take responsibilities as parents. We have to take responsibilities. That's why you see we are working with cultural institutions, because we know they have a very bold and very magnificent way of inculcating these things in their what? In their subjects. We tackle it from all fronts. We work with the integrity people, we work with the local governments, we work with cultural institutions, we work with all of them to see that at whatever level a human being is handled and is able to work, and we get a product that will be beneficial to our community.
Well, and away from that, we now sum up the conversation with the PS. PS, I would like in your parting shots to hear something to do with the Leadership Code Tribunal, which is developing the tribunal case management system. I wonder what your comment can be on that, and then also your parting shots to our viewer this evening.
Yes, the Leadership Code Tribunal is in place, and so far it has handled over 43 cases forwarded to them by the Inspectorate of Government. But one of the issues that has come up is the issue of assets recovery. The Directorate is coming up with the assets recovery guidelines, and when they are still at zero draft, when we are done, we shall be able to, we shall go for consultations, and then after consultations, we shall be able, when we have agreed and they are finalized, we shall be able to forward this to the Chief Justice through the other processes for the Chief Justice to issue them out. This one would be looking at how do you recover the property, how do you manage what has been recovered, monies that accrue from either the sale of this property, how do you dispose of this? All of this will be in that asset recovery.
Okay.
And as we come to the end of this conversation, of course, like we have indicated, the directorate does not perform its duties alone. It works with all the other MDAs. We have told you there is the interagency forum chaired by the Minister of State for Ethics and Integrity. And we also work closely with the non-state actors, the CSOs, the religious and faith organizations. And these have been able to help us in monitoring government projects. In some of the local areas, they have formed up some organizations called Concerned Citizens, and they take up and go and be able to monitor these government projects. We want to appeal to Ugandans to move in that direction, report any cases of corruption, but also let us build our values. Values is the only way if we are to ensure that service delivery is going to be improved and delivered to those who need the service. I want to thank you.
All right. Well, indeed, we need to build our values. Very important, very vital. My two guests this evening have been coming from the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, Office of the President. I've been having Mr. Moses Makumbi. He is the Commissioner, Ethics, Policy and Standards from the Directorate. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
You're welcome.
He has been sitting in for the State Minister in her absentia, that is Honorable Akelo Rose Lily, who couldn't make it this evening. But also, we've had the Permanent Secretary of the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, Mr. Danstan Balaba. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
And then to you, our dear viewer, thank you very much for being part of the show and being part of the conversations by engaging with us. I've seen a comment here that has said that today I look very smart. I don't know if I've not been looking smart over the past shows, but there's a very young man called Cubs Fashions at Zai Plaza who said today, I need to look a little bit more African in this outfit. And so he said,
it is because we are looking at ethics and integrity.
So he decided let's look for an outfit that fits the conversations tonight. And to your dear viewer, next week when we do return, we shall be having the Ministry of Security, and it comes at a time when we shall be also preparing for the Tarehe Sita celebration. So I feel like you should also be part of that conversation. We shall also be talking about the matters to do with the Western Uganda border, with the crisis in the DRC and then Rwanda. But besides that, the front bench does come to an end today on the 3rd of February. Have yourselves a wonderful week, a fruitful one at that, and a good evening.
Oh, Uganda.